This video is brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. Furiosa is the latest from Happy Feet director George Miller. It's the latest in his series of Mad Max films, serving as a prequel to his 2015 action masterpiece Fury Road, and I recently got to see this one at the Cannes Film Festival at 8:30 in the morning from a viewing angle that was not annoying at all. And boy, was this not the movie I thought it was going to be. And I think that's a good thing. See, I can't remember the last time I was looking forward to a sequel the way I was looking forward to Furiosa. Technically a prequel, but you get what I mean. Seeing Fury Road for the first time is one of the most memorable and formative movie-going experiences of my life. It was the afternoon before my high school prom. Me and my buddy went in hyped, and I remember it being unlike anything I'd ever seen before. I genuinely came out of it a changed man. The world building, the vibrancy, the action, the scale, the editing, the performances, the lack of dialogue, the weirdly spiritual vibe of it. It was one of those movies I saw as a young adult that really got me to fall in love with filmmaking, that made me realize how much you could do with the form, even if the story is, on the surface, relatively straightforward. So yeah, expectations for Furiosa were a bit high. Did you guys see the trailer in IMAX before Dune? Come on. And the funny thing about all this is that when watching this film, Furiosa, it felt as though George Miller was yelling at me through the screen going, "This isn't Fury Road, this isn't Fury Road, this isn't Fury," and I had to keep reminding myself of that, because it's not. It's really not. It is less Fury Road and more like, fine, Mandy, I'll say it. Furiosa is a revenge film. It's a dark and at times cerebral revenge film. It's this aspect that sets it apart from Fury Road and gives it a bit more to chew on. With Fury Road, it's hard not to get completely wrapped up in what you're watching. The spectacle is still breathtaking, which is why it's able to get away with being a bit more low-key with its character building. The characters aren't underwritten, don't get me wrong. On a recent rewatch, I was particularly moved by Nicholas Holt's character Nux. But when you look at it next to what's going on in Furiosa, Fury Road is really just acting on something you're not entirely familiar with. It's all the release, none of the build-up. And a lot of the depth that's in Furiosa can be owed to how much deeper the performances go in this film. Obviously, Anya Taylor-Joy delivers. I can't say I'm surprised. I've liked her in pretty much everything she's been in. While Charlize Theron brings a much more realized and dramatic performance in Fury Road, Anya does an excellent job carrying her rage throughout the film. You feel it in every scene, even when it's suppressed early on. She's talked a lot about how she fought for her scream in the film, and I'm glad she did. Because listen, good screams in films are often overlooked. It's hard to make a bad scream, but it's even harder to pull off a great, memorable scream. And Anya Taylor-Joy's scream has some real heft to it. You can hear it coming from somewhere deeper within her body. Saying this out loud, this feels a bit like a ridiculous thing to focus on. Clown me in the comments all you want. But for a performance this fragile, that's very deliberate about when she should use her voice, I felt she took advantage of these moments every time and really pulled it off. I'm kind of shocked at how little people are talking about Chris Hemsworth in this movie, who I thought was the obvious standout. In fact, it took this film for me to realize Hemsworth has never really gotten to flaunt his range as an actor like this before. This is still, at the end of the day, an action movie. I can't call it too much of a departure from his usual work, but the role itself is so much more colorful and bizarre. He was reaching a point with me where if he was in a film, it just felt like I was watching Chris Hemsworth. Sexy, funny, charming, intense, nothing wrong with that. But here I saw someone lose themselves in a character. His name is Dr. Dementis. Like, get the fuck out of here. I wouldn't say it's Oscar-worthy or anything like that, but it's got the same juice as Heath Ledger's Joker, where it's both at times kind of funny and at other times terrifying. You're having fun with it, but you're also taking it seriously. In other words, it's the best case scenario for a blockbuster antagonist. As mentioned, this is not Fury Road, and in some ways I'm glad it's not, but in other ways, damn did I wish I was watching Fury Road. The action here is good, okay? It's good. It's better than most action you're gonna see in a movie today. A lot of it is practical, and it looks incredible. Is it better than or even on par with the action in Fury Road? Not even close. Yes, the setups are incredible. The kinds of strange guys and vehicles Miller thinks up are just as ridiculous as those in Fury Road, though nothing is ever gonna top this fucking freak. But let's stop beating around the bush. The CGI doesn't look amazing. I know, Fury Road also used a lot of CGI. Not every shot in Fury Road is perfect, I'm aware. I also know George Miller is up there in age. He's not gonna be out there shooting all of this practically. It's a much bigger film than Fury Road. It's like there's no way they were were ever going to shoot all of this practically, but I can't help the way I feel. I know what I think looks good when I'm looking at something. I did not think some of this looked good. It feels frustratingly artificial and flat, whereas Fury Road was vivid and textural. Even the more heavy CGI moments from Fury Road, like that storm, it still looked amazing. It was so detailed and interesting and dark and murky. The heavier CGI scenes here are just so muddy. In general, I thought Fury Road just looked a lot better. The narrow tunnels in the beginning of the film, the weird tubes and armor hooked up to a Morton Joe, all of it looked so real, and that's why it was such a visceral experience. I believed the horrific positions Max was in, like when he was strapped to the front of the car. I didn't believe Anya was in danger at any point when she was under the rig. I mean, when I talk about, the costumes and the locations, these are all there. A lot of the same stuff that was in Fury Road is also in Furiosa, but they aren't filmed or lit in a way that exaggerates their features. And I'm aware this would be a nitpick for any other film, but it did feel like such a glaring issue in this one only because a large part of Fury Road's appeal was the presentation, the sound, the camera work. Furiosa does have a handful of breathtaking shots, don't get me wrong, my favorite being this one of Hemsworth where he's surrounded by like a red fog. And at times the artificiality of the CGI was almost so overblown that I came around to it in a way similar to Speed Racer, but too much of the time it felt more like I was watching Spy Kids than a Mad Max film. That's a bit extreme, I'll take that back. Nothing wrong with Spy Kids, but visually a downgrade. That's where I think this film suffers next to Fury Road. But let's talk about how it's better. I would change close to nothing about Fury Road, but it's also a miracle of a film in that it manages to keep you invested using mostly action. Few films have action so good that it can carry an entire feature. Fury Road is one of those movies. The feeling it attempts and succeeds at capturing is desperation and persistence. It nails that. Furiosa is about where that desperation came from, leaving me with a pit in my stomach from just how unrelenting Miller is at showing you that backstory. Fury Road is the exhale, this is the inhale. And in a lot of ways, I much prefer the inhale. I think it's brilliant. Instead of trying to top what he did in Fury Road, a damn near impossible task, Miller went a different route entirely, something more patient, something wordier, but managed to make it equally as riveting. By getting a greater sense of scale, of the world these characters inhabit, of their philosophies, and by letting the horrors play out rather than flash by in a chase scene, Miller does paint his most vivid portrait of the world he's been working in since 1979. In fact, if anything, this film just makes Fury Road even better in that regard. What I ultimately find the most moving about Furiosa, though, and why it acts on an entirely different wavelength from most revenge films, is the inevitability of Furiosa's need for revenge. There was never another option than to fight, a much more powerful reason for her desperation than the one noted vengeance even the great revenge films often fall victim to. She grew into a world built to break her down, where there was no other way to live than this, and it's that tragedy at the heart of it that makes it much more devastating, but also triumphant. It's not going to be Fury Road, it was never going to be, and Fury Road is never going to be Furiosa. This is its own beast entirely, and is without a doubt one of the strongest prequels I've ever seen. And that's what I gotta say. Thanks for watching, go watch Furiosa a couple of times and form your own opinion, and before you head out. I want to thank this week's sponsor, Squarespace, the all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. On Squarespace, you can start your own personalized website with their new guided design system, Squarespace Blueprint, which allows you to choose from professionally curated layout and styling options to build a unique online presence from the ground up, tailored for your brand or business and optimized for every device. You can easily launch your website and get discovered fast with integrated optimized SEO tools so that you show up more often to more people and grow the way you want. My personal favorite part about Squarespace is their visual design tools, which allow you to grow credibility and engage visitors with an unrivaled suite of visual design effects built in and ready to go on any Squarespace website. And if you're looking to showcase your work in a really pretty way, I cannot recommend their video collections feature enough, which allows you to upload video content, organize your video library, and showcase your content on beautiful video pages. You can even sell access to your video library by adding a paywall to your content. How cool is that? You can go to squarespace.com to start your free trial, and when you're ready to launch that website, go to squarespace.com/Karsten to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.